stop insults and attacks. NPP warns aspirants. I know there was some fracas this weekend involving presidential candidate aspirant, honorable candidate Japan. We'll get into some of that detail as well. We've paid customers 5 million cedis, and you've got number one pictured on the front page. We'll get into that as well. Some 2.37 million euros payment for ambulance was in error. Seth Tekbe also pictured on the front page. Police chase task force commander shooter. Ghana, Rwanda top Africa's health insurance coverage. Quite interesting one there. BNFT this morning, the Business and Financial Times. Axis Fund Services receives ISO 9001-2015 certification. Very technical. Maybe the gentleman can help me break this down. External debt overhaul key to stability. First Sky Group ensures flood victims with 2.5 million package. And I know they're also behind the construction of some temporary housing for affected flood victims in the North Tongue area. The MP for the area, Samuel Okudito, Ablakwa has been very grateful to them. On the back page of the BNFT, Ghana leads peers with strong after framework, and insurance brokers begin public awareness campaign.
The front page of the Finder newspaper, the story is Cabinet outlaws off-book arrears. Orders stringent spending controls. Comes with a picture of the information minister at the just ended cabinet retreat at Peduasi. There's also Moses Bading, CEO of Margins Group, honored with iconic manufacturing personality of the decade award. Breast cancer, Koji Cares medical outreach screens over 600 Adentan residents. Also, donation of 2 helicopters meant for re-export breaches customs law. The GRA saying. A story, Helen, you'd be interested in is that from Dr. Akoto, the former Greek minister. He says, give me the nod to reform the NPP.
I haven't heard too much from him. I was actually going to ask you. I know you've been following.
He's your
his,
friend.
No,
too.
that's your friend. You've been following the, what shall we call it, his campaign trail. You were there when he went and picked his forms. He went with a group of farmers. We've heard from him once or twice in a few quarters. So you'll update us how the campaign is.
He's very much doing well.
He's laying low because other than Kennedy, Japan, and also Dr. Baumia, I haven't heard any of the. Who do we have? 2 others, don't we?
Yes, Adainimo and then Dr. Akoto. And they're all making inroads, convincing delegates. And they
are you convincing us or you are convincing yourself?
Very confident of winning the primaries. The Custodian newspaper says fake news is Ghana's major security threat. That's coming from the National Security Minister, Albert Kandapa. Moses Bading honored as iconic manufacturing personality of the decade. Cabinet approves economic growth measures. Page 2 of the paper. Men's Gold presents 5 million cedis to pay customers. And they were carried in boxes to the police. These are the stories that the Custodian newspaper and the Finder are reporting.
The front page of the Daily Graphic now: implement low-cost drug policy. The Medical and Dental Council is asking government and UPSA congregation utilize technology for growth. Editor Graphic urges youth. And at cabinet retreats, government will spend within means next year. There's this other story also about the University of Education, Winneba, being the 2023 champions of the Tertiary Business Sense Challenge. The back page has some sports story. Noble Kotoko has. Which one is support?
Kotoko.
How are you?
Kwabi Brim United. So then they haven't made an appearance.
Kwabi Brim is not on the table,
no,
but
please.
I have some sports news. Nations FC Kotoko split points. It also has the league table here where Kotoko is at 7th and Hearts of Oak is at 15th. And
wait, Hearts of Oak is at
15th.
At the how many weeks in are we into the GPL?
I think week 6.
Week 6.
Yes.
Hey.
Yeah, so
they have a goal scoring problem, and their coach says the goal scoring problem is in all of the country.
In fact, there's a story just here. It says Ghana lacks strikers.
That is true. That comes up all the time in this conversation. Who's leading the league table?
In Swatreman.
Who's number 2?
Number 2 is Samatex, also another new team. So 2 newly promoted. In fact, number 3 is also Bofakwa, also recently newly promoted.
Where's Legon Cities in all of this?
Legon Cities 8th. Kotoko 7th and Hearts of Oak 15th.
Who's carrying the whole league?
Midiama.
Oh,
Yeah,
Midiama.
they are down there.
Midiama.
Midiama, interestingly, are the defending champions, but I think they have a game in hand.
I see.
So the other teams have played more games than them, so
Sure.
that could explain why they are where
Hearts
they
will
are.
sack their coach next month.
That's the prediction.
That's
you've
the
got.
forecast.
That's the forecast. This one, Felicity wasn't there to forecast that for
The
us.
center spread in the
Yes.
Daily Graphic, there's some story from the Mepe area. The traditional council had a meeting with the Volta River Authority. We know that there have been concerns about how they've handled the spillage.
In fact,
to the
then let's
Eastern
just start from that area.
Yes.
And let's get into the details and discuss.
So that story here says that the chiefs and people of the Mepe traditional area have welcomed executive officers from VRA to deliberate on how to better collaborate in managing the current flooding disaster. And so led by Togbe Kosi Nego the Sixth, the Mankralo of Mepe traditional area, they received the staff, the VRA's deputy CEO explained that they are ensuring the safety of all persons affected by the flood. They've been putting together resources from all angles to safeguard and protect lives in the midst of this unfortunate emergency. And so he goes on to say that they've provided some relief items and also moved individuals to higher grounds to protect them and keep them from the effects of the spillage as well. Is this coming too late?
I've been following the conversation over the weekend. I was listening to the VRA. So listening to the deputy, bear with me. It was the Mr. Obin Kenzo.
Okay.
His designation there is as, I believe, as deputy CEO engineering operations, and he says that they're not overwhelmed and that everything is going on as expected, which is interesting because what is now, what we're seeing now, the devastation, the displacement, the seeming lack of coordination is what I'm not sure if that's what they were anticipating, if they say that they are not overwhelmed and things are going according to plan. Interestingly, the issue of dredging came up in that conversation that I was listening to Mr. Obin Kenzo speaking, and he says that dredging happens quite often. The VRA supervises that they have their own dredger, which at some point was out of commission. It wasn't working. So they decided to engage an external company to come and help with the dredging, and that company had some issues. They ended up putting some, polluting some waters, and they got taken to court. So the dredging has been put on hold for a while, although the VRA says it's not really the dredging that makes much of a difference. They dredge to sort of ensure that the riverbanks are kept clean.
I mean, I don't think there's anyone who will disagree with the fact that this could have been handled much better. Because we've had the military in the statement yesterday make the point that they've gone in and they've rescued 12,000 people.
Right.
I mean, it means that people were simply in their homes and the water came gushing out and affected them in their homes and rendered them homeless, and they had to be rescued from their homes. And so I don't think there's any doubt about that. And it's important that going forward, we take some lessons from this particular process. There was some simulation exercise that was done some months back.
Sometime in May, I believe.
Yes, I mean, we are told it was ahead of such a spillage, anticipating this spillage. But I mean, if you look back and you ask yourself again that did it have any effect? I mean, could it have been worse if they had not done that anyways? I think the conclusion will nonetheless be the fact that things have not been handled properly. And this morning, I was listening to Judith's reports, and she was making a point about a place where public place of convenience, the only one in there, has been completely taken over.
That's right.
Yes, and those who have in their homes too, they don't have access to their homes anymore. So it begs the question, how are these people even doing the very basic things of life? It's a big problem.
It's a big problem. Let me say good morning to Mr. William Mesiedu. Hope you're well.
Yeah,
How was the
well.
weekend?
Perfect.
Perfect.
I had a very perfect weekend.
A very perfect
I mean,
weekend.
this is just by the way. I mean, on the road, Joy FM did a program, and they've just decided to keep the stand in the middle of the road on a Monday morning.
What area are you referring
Just in
to?
front of Joy FM.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and it's creating a lot of traffic around there. This is a public, service announcement. They should just clear it. There's a stage in the middle of the road.
In the middle of the road?
Right now in front of Joy. I mean, how does that happen? On a Monday morning.
On a busy Monday morning, start of the week.
Sorry. Some of these things, we shouldn't just let it happen. Anyway.
All right, thank you for that. So, Joy FM, if you're listening to us, you're obstructing the road this morning. We want to get to work. Okay, people want to come.
So the NADBO PRO was here, and I was asking him, from May, when they did the simulation exercise, what was the sustained effort to keep the people abreast of what was going to happen? Obviously, the answers he was giving me showed that they didn't have any sustained campaign in terms of advising or directing them or even evacuating them from the place. Because if they had any plans, as soon as the place got flooded, they should have been moved to where they had planned to take them. For me, if they said that they did a simulation exercise and they were anticipating that the place would get flooded, which meant that they should have prepared the place so that if they were inundated by the flood waters, quickly move them there and settle them. But we are here, they are now trying to even set up tents. People are still living in classrooms. The classrooms are not prepared for them. Not at all. And so even communication is bad because this military thing is a miscommunication thing. Because the military are saying that there are other places that the military have to go.
That's right.
And then those on the ground don't have that information. The MP for the area is suggesting that there's some hotel bill to be paid because the soldiers were living there and that money has not been paid. And here, according to reports, so everything that is happening in that Mepe area, Sugakope area, the Volta region, parts of Eastern region, whatever I see, I don't see any plan. There was no plan.
So, Helen, what I think happened was, so there's a controlled spillage by the VRA all the time. It has happened quite a number of times. But what happened in this instance was, just like some Dafirmepo is saying, that there's an engineering failure. And also it was not calculated well. So the simulation exercises that they did in May was, I believe, for the controlled spillage. So the spillage we're seeing now, they began in, I think, September 15. That's when the controlled spillage began. We didn't hear of any of these flooding issues. But when it got to the excess spillage that they are doing right now, that was not prepared for. And that is coming from what some are saying is engineering failure or somebody not doing their jobs well and all of that. So the preparation was not done with the anticipation of this disaster or the calculation of the excess water in the dam. That is also coming from a lack of proper coordination with the engineers managing the Akosombo Dam. Because if they had done it well, we know the levels of the dam, what it requires to be safe, the structural integrity and all of that. So when they realized that the anticipation we had was wrong, that's when they began all of this, and it is causing the mess that we're seeing right now there. Okay,
so I referenced Mr. Obinkenzo. He's from the VRA, Director Engineering Services. So he says that as at 2010, when one of the spillages happened, the last one, some emergency response documentation was put together. And in that documentation, it lists the other bodies and institutions that are to come together in a coordinated effort when things like this happen. It includes NADMO, Ghana Health Service, the military. So I'm keen to find out, and if we have an opportunity to do so, find out whether or not that same document was used or implemented this time around, and what the coordination was like, because it's a coordinated effort. VRA has their own very specific mandate. And if you think of it like a relay match, what happens? You pass the baton on, and then the next institution takes over. So for example, VRA knows that this is the extent of the havoc that will be caused. Listening to Mr. Obinkenzo speak, he says, well, the DCEs and the assembly were informed of this. What then does the assembly have to do to ensure that the message gets there even stronger? If the VRA also says that this spillage, they can liken it to that of the 1960s, that it was so grave, then that should also inform the type of communication. If you know that it's going to be as huge as then, I think the response should also be equivalent to the disaster that we're seeing now. If they say everything was foreseen, and I think that makes it even more worrisome if the VRA says everything that is happening now was foreseen, that they are not overwhelmed. So did they foresee that 10,000 students would be displaced with no provision being made for what is to happen to them next? Did they foresee that these waters would be stagnated for a long time and that crops and livestock would be rotten in the water? Did they foresee that also? What about structural integrity? Did they foresee that? Is there an insurance package that maybe they can offer? And that question was asked. And as at now, we're not really getting proper answers. People are paid good sums of money to do this work.
To think,
to forecast, to foresee.
Yes. The last time I was asking whether as a state we have an emergency action plan. And if we had, because look, we have the Bagri Dam, and recently we had the Weja
Yes.
And there was some small problem there when we sent reporters around and children were cut off from school and things. And so from all those incidents, we should have known that even if we are spilling bit by bit, we have a monitoring system, as the University of Ghana people are saying that they have the expertise. The monitoring was not properly done, because if we were monitoring even day by day, we could have even given them 24 hours to move. This morning we are hearing that a whole banana plantation that was ready for harvesting has been submerged in water because they didn't know that it was going to the flood was going to be that big.
Yeah,
even within 24 hours.
Stories
I think
about fish farms as well.
Exactly.
The VRA was just not prepared to the extent.
And they
of
mentioned
the
the district assembly's involvement in this whole action plan. I'm saying that district assemblies don't even have the money.
They don't have the capacity to do anything.
Forget about the capacity. They don't even have money. They don't. Their allocations are not going to them. Not more. It will be clear to you. Their warehouses are empty. When they meet you on the street, they tell you, but when they come and sit on here, they'll tell you a different story. When VRA went and donated things to, it was to NADMO to distribute. They didn't have any. And I'm hearing that VRA has given about 10 million cedis cash, and they even advertised it. So if NADMO is not prepared for some of these things, why do we even have NADMO? And I'm saying that if we have action plan in terms of emergency, the steps are clear. Where are you moving the people to? That place should have been there. If we said, it's not now that we'll come and ask you, the government of NADMO, to take us to Sagleme. It means there's no place.
Yeah.
And that for me is the biggest minus. Because you've opened the dam, people's houses are just flooded to the roof. And you don't have a place for them to go. How do you do this? Yesterday we were seeing pictures of and videos of nursing mothers on the floor. Yeah. Because hospitals are overwhelmed.
And people's lives have virtually come to a standstill.
And that's why governance is about. It is for you to make the people feel comfortable. And so if there's no plan for them to move from this disaster zone to a safer place, then for me, there's no plan at all. So anything that anybody says, it shouldn't be even for you to tell us that we're going to spill bit by bit, and so what?
Yeah,
what was
that's what they are calling the controlled spillage. In a statement from VRA on September 12, before the controlled spillage began, what they said, it wishes to caution all residents along the Volta River and downstream of our Kosomo and Pond dams to be on alert and take the necessary precautionary measures. It continues to say that VRA will continue to monitor the situation, work with our key stakeholders, and, quote, provide regular updates to ensure prompt response to any emergency that may arise. The question is, was that done?
Yeah. No.
They were advising them to take precautionary measures.
What is that?
The guy in his house is heard this thing. In your mind,
what is
he
that?
Doesn't know the water is coming.
So cover the whole room. We say that no. Precautionary measure is English. We say move.
Exactly.
Then moving means the government has set up a place for you to move.
The gravity of the situation.
You know what I'm saying?
Precautionary measures.
Yes.
It means okay.
I don't think this statement.
It is just English.
Anticipates what has happened.
No, that's why for me, listening to the VRA still double down and say this is going according to plan.
Means
and that's what I'm saying.
You planned for this disaster.
Was it the plan that the waters, especially the health aspect? Was this the plan? MPs have had to call and cry for portable portable toilets for the residents in the community to use. So what was the plan?
Was
that part of the plan?
If they planned, I'm asking, did they determine the correct actions in terms of move to this place? No. Did they create rallying points where this is the point where when we say the floods are coming, you move to? We don't have, because now we are still asking for. And then we're asking, look, it was the MP who said they are even now they are taking measures to count and see if everybody is alive.
That's right.
So that if they are preparing that data, so if they are supposed to make a case, they will have the data. You just said it last week.
Yeah.
So it means there was no rallying point, there was no mechanism to account for everyone, and there's no drill. Because when you do the simulation, there should be a drill, practical drill. And look, when it happens, this is what you do, and you move this way.
Exactly.
And so if you say precautionary measure, it's English.
And so in practical terms, for example, what I am envisioning, if you say you have an emergency response plan, so that on the day where the waters are rising, do you have NADMO marshals wearing their reflective already there?
No,
you have the military sparking up their boats already there. Yeah. You have the health directorates with their... Because some residents went to try and get healthcare, and because they have lost their NHIS card in the floods, they were denied access until there was an order to then say, no, these guys are from flood affected areas, so please see to their health and well-being.
The bigger question, I think, is the nation's lack of an emergency plan. And this morning we heard from Africa Education Watch also saying that if we're doing that, we should incorporate a lot of things. As we sit here, if any part of the country, apart from the Volta region, also experience a major disaster, we'll still have a repeat of the struggles we're having in the Volta region right now, because we have not planned for it, we have not prepared for it, and then this will not teach us any lesson to go to the drawing board to do it. We're going to see this thing happening again. We're just lucky that, unfortunately, when you see, this is progressive, but usually the disasters we have, they happen and they end almost immediately. What happened at Circle, for instance?
Right.
Assuming it was progressive like that, maybe the fire was day 1, day 2, day 3. We could not have contained it because we have not planned for it. That's what it is coming to, that we need to have a national emergency plan that is ready to be deployed anytime there's an emergency.
And this is what we do in the healthcare system, where this government will say, oh, we established 500 hospitals. This one will say that. But over the years, we've been complaining that there are no beds.
Right.
Over the years, we've been complaining that there are no supplies. Over the years, you have been complaining. So for you to say you have a hospital existing, it's not brick and mortar. And it's the same thing that they've gone to do in the Mepe and Sugakope areas, where they said that there was no sustained action to check what has happened. So quite frankly,
and even the VRA is saying that they're going to have to pump some more monies in there, and I don't know if they had anticipated for that extra budgetary allocation, but the NDC is demanding a probe into the VRA's conduct. Let's take a quick listen to leader of the minority in the House of Parliament, Honorable Atuforsen.
The processes of instituting a probe into this matter immediately. Aside this, we also believe that the VRA, the Volta River Authority, has not been proactive. After causing this man-made disaster, their donation is coming in trickles. A strong institution as Volta River Authority should have done better than what they are doing. And we urge them to also start as soon as we have Sagleme sitting idle. We have Sagleme sitting idle. The government must ensure that they house the people of these 11 affected constituencies properly.
Well, that is Honorable Atuforsen, minority leader, speaking there. Says there must be a probe into the VRA's conduct. I've also heard the likes of Honorable Andia Piakubi. He says he's lost some 200 acres of rice farm. He said he had encouraged some of his own constituents to go into rice farming, and now 200 acres completely lost.
I can't imagine, the farm is completely gone.
It's completely gone.
There are a lot of investments in fish farming in the area, where they do their own, they set up their own fish farms on the river, and everything is washed, all the fingerlings and the mature fish, everything is just washed away. I mean, so now that we've been able to preserve life, what are we doing to recover?
Right.
I don't see that water going down. This is between 4 and 6 weeks.
6 weeks,
And
It's already turning green.
So that's right. It's described as highly contaminated waters.
But almost every living thing, apart from the human beings in the area, are just dead inside that.
That's right. It's a cocktail of disease, if you will. It's just boiling, cooking all of that livestock in there. You've got human fecal matter in there. I'm sorry if it's too early, you haven't yet had your tea, but this is the reality on the ground. And today we'll be zooming into the health aspect, because some health experts are saying that as a matter of urgency, we have to go and lift up that waters and dispose of those waters. It cannot remain. Health experts and doctors also saying that residents in the community already presenting with typhoid and cholera, it could spiral. So it's something that we're certainly averting our thoughts to. So a probe, gentlemen, do we say, is necessary into finding out exactly what happened, if the correct protocol was...
generally not excited about parliamentary probes. I mean, the parliament, they don't have the power to sack the VRA boss or anything. They will just issue recommendation, becomes partisan, they push it all around. I mean, if it's a probe to the extent that there will be valuable information which we need to learn from this particular event, is very fine. But the point really is that they are appointing authority. There is a VRA CEO appointed by someone. There's a board over there. That person should call the gentleman there and ask questions of him. I mean, I think those are more pragmatic way of dealing with the problem, because
In
there's no
fact,
doubt right here and here. We've demonstrated just by reading a statement that they clearly didn't handle things well.
Well, in fact, Honorable Andiapia Kubi says we should pursue some professional
Class action.
negligence
Yes,
claims,
Such people.
Yes.
and actually just go straight to source. Like I said, people are tasked with the mandate to monitor, to make such
It's
big
water
decisions.
under the control of VRA.
That's right.
That has been spilled.
So
And
people are
has
saying, oh,
rendered people
man-made.
homeless.
People are saying act of God.
No.
Which one is the
Definitely
act
not
of
an act of God, no.
The act of God being that there
the
were
thing,
more
eh?
waters than anticipated by way of rainfall.
Yeah.
No.
But with what's happening around the world today, and what has
Climate
happened in
change and
Ghana
all of
today,
that.
is anybody telling me that they have not been seeing, the increased rainfall around the world? It's been happening even in Ghana. We speak to the Metro people every day. They give us the rundown. What's the connection between Metro and VRA? If they had any report from Metro, they should let us see. What did Metro tell them? That there was not going to be any rain?
They're
In
saying
fact,
that
Meteo would have informed them that
They said
that,
Meteo did,
yes.
Yeah, the Metro guys came out to deny.
Yeah, so they
initially
said-
VRA said they didn't make the information available.
Uh-huh.
The
That's
Metro
the
guys,
point I'm making.
the Metro guys came back
Them.
and said that no,
You
we
see,
will
we
give them
told you
information.
everything.
You see, so I'm saying that, let's go to court, and there's some of these things will come, because for me, it's documentation, it's evidence.
Yeah.
If you come to court, Metro did not say anything. Metro says, this is what we gave you. Then we are making progress. Because for now, it will just be a banter. I mean, they'll just be having friendly conversation. You did, they will laugh over it.
You see,
While people are suffering.
Bad
That's
news,
right.
this disaster has happened, but it could have been worse, because from the reports we're hearing from the South Dye MP, for instance, the Akosomo Dam nearly got a big problem because of this negligence we're talking about. He said the dam was virtually shaking because the water
This is
in
Honorable Dafiamako.
Dafiamako, yes,
He said,
some key
well,
points.
he alleges that he'd heard from some person, some engineers in the
there, yeah.
VRA.
But if you put 1 and 1, 2 and 2 together, this could be true, because with how much they are spilling right now.
Well,
if they
I
had
think it
not
was
done
so
it-
much as admitted
Exactly.
by Dr. Obinkenzo.
Yeah.
He said that the levels that they need to get to some 277.5,
Mm-hmm.
where it's getting quite dangerous, and they were about there. And he says, well, then they had to start spilling because the integrity of the dam could have been compromised.
And let's not forget that, all this conversation is centering around the southern parts. It's all the way up.
Up north.
Yes, because the river, the Water River, the black, white water, all the way from up north. So it's also left in the wake the devastation in areas like the Upper Manya and all those areas, also equally affected. Even the Savannah region, the areas that have also been affected as well.
All right, we'll park it here on the issues concerning the Akosombo Dam spillage. As the morning continues, we'll get a bit deeper into that and explore the health implications as far as the stagnated waters are concerned. We'll be opening up the phone lines very shortly for community voices so we can hear from you. Let us know what's happening in your community. What are the problems you're facing? As best as we're able to, we'll follow up, make some inquiries, and try and find some solutions. But very quickly, this one piqued my interest. On the front page of the Daily Guide, stop insults and attacks. NPP warns aspirants. November 4th, it's just round the corner. The NPP will be seeking to elect
they are still insulting.
their flag bearer. In some quarters, it's been quiet. Crosby, your good friend, former Greek minister, he's been popping up here and there, giving us some statements here and there. But I don't know, how is his campaign going? Do you have any intel to give us, to share with
We'll call
us?
his campaign team manager shortly, and then you tell
Maybe
us.
we can do that. I'll see from the back end if we're interested. William, are we interested in finding out how the various aspirants
of course,
are carrying on? Because this one here, stop the insults and attacks, NPP warns aspirants. Now, the National Council of Elders of the New Patriotic Party, NPP, has called on all presidential aspirants of the party to ensure a peaceful election on November 4, 2023 by abiding by the guidelines set out by the party's elections committee. You'll recall, as far back as the Superdelegates Congress, there was that directive from the NPP on how aspiring flag bearers and candidates should conduct themselves, the type of language that should be used. I think I saw some good behavior for about 4 days or 5 days.
Even on the day of the election,
even
there was huge misbehavior.
There was a showdown.
Is it? Threats of a showdown has
Yeah.
become the most popular word to end the year 2023. Yeah, a showdown.
Everything is showdown. There's a promotion an electronic company is doing, and they're calling it showdown.
Everything is a showdown. But during separate meetings with 4 contestants and teams, the council urged them to appeal to their supporters to note that they all belong to the Great Elephant Party, and that the process of selecting one of the 4 honorable men to lead the party in its bid to retain power in 2024 is ongoing, stressing that insults, insinuations, attacks, and fights before, during, and after the election should be avoided at all costs. I think it's been quite interesting to observe some of the language and the posturing. Quite recently, you see the second lady it's I don't know if jabbing. That's the word you use. Some jabs here and there, and they've been returned, shall I say, tenfold. But I suspect she was very much ready for that. Boots for many boots, one boot as against many a boot. So we watch what's going on that front. But thank you, gentlemen, for getting into the news review with me. Our telephone lines are as follows: 055 924 2717, 055 924 2717, or you can call us on 0569 10154. Phone lines are already blinking. Hello, good morning. Who's speaking?
Hello, good morning, madam.
Morning. Who am I speaking with? Where are you calling us from?
Please, I'm Naneji calling from Kukrentumi, Eastern Region.
Good to hear your voice. You're on air.
Thank you, please. I'm a farmer in Kukrentumi. I called last time our issue of lands, and currently, in fact, I have close to about 50 acres of cassava, and I need a truck for transit. I used to start factory. I supply to Train Rock Industry from place. So please, if you can be of help,
sure,
I'll be very happy.
We'll make a note of that. I do recall that conversation you had with us last week. We'll make a note of that.
Please
Thank
help
you.
me.
Sure.
Possibly if you could even link me to my head of Kofi and Ahojo Farms, I could also be very grateful. Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you so much. And Kofi of Ahojo Farms has joined us in a number of discussions. You too can join in the discussion. 0559 242 717, 0559 42717. Also call us on 0556 910154. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Who's speaking, please?
I'm calling from Ajekoju.
Sure, you're on air. Talk to us.
Yes, yes. There's a gutter construction going on somewhere around Samia J area, just in front of Queen's Court International School. Now, these workers have actually closed the road. All the debris are on the road, and there's no access where to drop the kids and where to pick them. Meanwhile, they are toddlers over there. And we think they should realize that it is not a favor they are doing to the community. It is a responsible work they have taken on themselves, and they must act responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your call. We've made a note of that. I've got another caller on the line. Hello, good morning. Who's speaking?
Good morning, my coffee miss.
Good morning to Kozami. How are we?
Oh, I'm fine. That is good.
Fantastic.
Not good for the nation. I think duty bearers must rise up to their responsibility. My concern in my district, the municipal, as I said, and NEMA, is about how could it storm drain gutter that was constructed under John Mama. I mean, after the drum game, there's a secondary gutter who's supposed to be collecting water from the communities. But that place was not ended when the government went off power. This government came into power and they refused to continue. Helen, people are filling the place and putting on containers. And later, when this construction, supposed to be continued, you can imagine what is going to happen in terms of compensation and the money that is going to be spent in reconstruction, the place that the people have been claimed. I think it's time. Last time, Johnny did a program on that, but there's no response. I think you should continue because if money is going to be spent, it's the taxpayers' money. I and you, it's our money. Don't let us sit down. The two MPs there, they have to do something before it is too late. Don't let them sit down because of election. Because of vote. They allow people to do the wrong thing. Then later, all of us will pay for it. I think I'm worried about that. And I think as a media house, I want to take it up and see how best we can solve the problem before it's too late. Have a blessed morning, Johnny.
Have a blessed morning to you, Kosami. And you too can let us know what is going on in your community. 0559 242 717 0559 242 717. Hello, good morning.
Hi, Helen, good morning.
Good morning. Who am I speaking with, please?
Kojo.
Kojo, where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Teshima.
All right, sure. You're on air.
The last time I spoke about the building they're putting up Abaya Junction, you get to check on that, please.
So what is the junction you mentioned?
Abaya Junction, Jolo.
I'll check with the team. We're making a note of this. We have to compile it so we can go out and do our work, but we're on the case.
Okay, that's fine. They should check it because
Sure.
the building is springing up very fast, and I'm sure when it's done, I mean, you know these people. I don't think a layman who has a layman will just wake up to do this. Like you keep saying, the high and mighty every time they do these things at the detriment of life of the poor people. So please let's follow up and then see what we can do about it. Thank you.
Sure thing. Thank you so much. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Who's speaking, please?
Yes.
Where are you calling us from?
Yes, my name is Blanks and I'm calling from German Portiman.
Sure.
Yes, I want to seek clarity about the village in Volta region. I wanted to find out what has VRA been doing from day one when they started the village. What type of facility do they have or mechanism do they have in place? Because we have so many technologies available, such as drones. Were they using those things to monitor the spillage level as to whether to ascertain that the spillage is flooding people's homes and stuff? So these are critical issues and questions that VRA has to come and clarify for us who don't, get the privy to be there to see what exactly is going on there. So please use your station to ask questions for us, we the Ghanaians, to know what our leaders have been doing all this while. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your call. It's something that we're certainly keen on. So do stick with us this morning as we explore further what has happened, what is happening, and what is to happen. Hello, good morning. Who's speaking? Where are you calling us from?
Hello, good morning, Mr. Helen.
Good morning. Pastor Dewale.
Yes, God bless you. And your crew. Sorry about the news. Have we made a follow-up? Which I did. Market remain taking over the past 10 minutes. In fact, please, speaking time now. And also at the same community in seminar. The one along the Castle Highway and the overhead, the bypass. That I witnessed yesterday. It's nothing to write home about. But it's my belief and hope that this morning the whole high street will be tied up. The fruit is just too much. And I'm calling on the municipal assembly. That's what you say. If you do something,
all right.
give a remedy, a one-stop remedy. It's becoming one too many. I hope you heard and you saw the demonstration where people were now fed up. The Castle Highway.
That's
right. And I was happy your team came to cover. And I think something should be done because it's becoming one too many, my sister.
Absolutely.
The human resource waste, time loss, and etc. We can no more bear it.
Absolutely.
Just a little downpour, you can't stand it. Why? Have a blessed morning.
Have a blessed morning, Pastor Dewale. And that's the last of my calls for community voices. Tomorrow, you too can call and let us know what is going on in your community. We'll do our best to follow up, make some inquiries, and see if we can provide some solutions to your problems. So if you've already reported something to us, bear with us, have some patience with us. We'll see how best we can help. We'll go on a quick break. And when we come back, Kelvin Owusu-Ansah is here to give us all the updates in the world of sports. This is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7.
My name is Diana Hamilton.